How does the seeming magic mushroom eradicate so many human sicknesses? The answer seems to lie in Reishi's ability to help the human body find balance. It is now common knowledge that stress contributes enormously to the degradation of physical and mental health. It is heard often that there is more stress now than in previous generations. Statistics of rising rates of various diseases point to stress. Poor diet, toxins, environmental pollutants, lack of sleep, and illness itself are stress creators or stressors. What is it about reishi and its healing properties, and how can physical balance and well-being be found from this mushroom?
Red reishi mushroom supplements work so well because we've really investigated what's in that essence. We found out it is unique compounds, polysaccharides. They're basically adaptogens, and we use that word adaptogen in natural medicine to signify something that is so unique in the plant world. We've never been able to manufacture it otherwise. It's the ability of a plant to be able to provide just what's needed. Now, an adaptogen actually harmonizes everything in the body. It provides what the body needs, so it'll balance out blood sugar, blood pressure, everything.
Polysaccharides are a group of immune-modulating plant compounds that are absolutely incredible at keeping the immune system robust. Beta-glucan is probably the most important of these polysaccharides, and the beautiful thing is it's found in the highest quantities in the Japanese red reishi. Japanese red reishi essence is the highest concentration of really the medicinal values found in red reishi.
For instance, if you have low blood sugar, the adaptogen normalizes your blood sugar. If you have high blood pressure, it helps lower that blood pressure. It's very powerful. That's where the therapeutic benefit has been realized, and red reishi mushroom, the essence of it, really knows how to go after that.
The majority of people usually notice red reishi within the first few days to the first week.
Well, you have to realize that, there isn't one single ingredient that can be pointed to in reishi that is a cure-all. It's synergistic. The whole of the body is the sum of its parts working together. What reishi seems to do is allow the body to balance itself so that all the organs are working together and strengthening each other. What makes people susceptible to illness is a weakness somewhere in their system. Something breaks down and presto, you have an invasive disease.
Balancing of the organs, they all work together in tandem, really. When you get the liver and the kidney and the intestine, if you get too much accumulation in one, it immediately dumps the problem on the next one. So if we can sort of keep and minimize, I think, the stress on one particular organ, then it doesn't create more stress on the other two, and particularly the liver, as it picks up toxins from the intestinal tract and loads it up, and then all of a sudden it gets to a crisis point and it dumps it on the kidneys, so to speak. And then you have people not excreting the things as quickly as they should. There's a whole backup in the cells. So by balancing and keeping everything pretty well efficient all the time and in harmony, then you don't get this sort of jam up in organs.
Detoxification is like getting the poisons out of your body. And when you take reishi mushrooms, that is an assistance to getting the liver cleansed out, is to removing chemicals, to removing other byproducts that are stored in the fat, to help remove those. All of those byproducts that are in the system basically take away from energy. So if you start detoxifying, you start removing those things that take away from energy, thus optimizing the body's ability to perform more consistently.
In the last 30 years, researchers have studied reishi and its effects, and today there is a great body of scientific evidence mounting from Europe, Asia, and North America about this previously unheard of mushroom. The secret to red reishi's healing properties comes down to this. Red reishi mushrooms are primarily composed of complex carbohydrates called polysaccharides, triterpenoids, proteins, and amino acids. Polysaccharides, the most active ingredient in red reishi, are well known to be responsible for strengthening the body's immune system.
See, in ancient times, reishi grew in the wild. Reishi was coveted because not only did it possess healing properties, but also because it created very few side effects, and as a result it was considered to be vastly superior to other herbs. Now, by superior, I mean this. Back in around 206 BC, during the Han Dynasty, a legendary herbalist by the name of Shen Nong documented 365 species of plants and herbs and categorized them into superior, average, and fair. Now, by a superior grade plant, it meant that the range of ailments it could treat were greater and broader than those weaker specimens, and in addition had little or no long-term side effects. In the study that was conducted by Shen Nong, Reishi was even superior to the well-known ginseng. The problem with Reishi was its rarity. They just weren't exactly sprouting up all over the place like weeds, so for the most part, they were reserved for royalty or the immensely wealthy. About 30 years ago, the Japanese began cultivating Reishi in an intensely controlled process. Today, the Japanese have the reputation for having perfected this method, and no other country has come anywhere close to doing what they can do.
The best cultivation method originated in Japan with the technique of culturing reishi on Japanese oak logs. The process begins with the culturing of a high-quality reishi fungus strain in test tubes for about 85 days. The germinating fungi are then inserted into holes drilled into selected high-grade logs between 26 and 30 years old. These logs are then placed into a greenhouse and buried under nutrient-rich soil for 5 months. Growing conditions require continued monitoring to ensure a high-grade quality reishi. Temperature, humidity, carbon dioxide, light intensity, and nutrients are all closely monitored to maintain optimum growing conditions. The greenhouse is sprayed with moisture daily to stimulate growth and maintain a humidity of 90 to 95%. All Japanese companies are required to follow strict agricultural safety guidelines and abstain from the use of pesticide products. The plants are grown for another 100 days until they mature to full size. Eventually, the mushrooms are allowed to release their spores into the air and left for another 2 weeks before being harvested. Once harvested, the reishi is cut and boiled for 2 hours, and this is repeated 3 times to extract the highest properties from the red reishi. The extract is then converted from liquid form to powder using a low-temperature vacuum condenser and an air-sprayed dryer. The powder is then dried to be transferred into capsules, which are then packaged for sale.
Well, the best advice I can give